Last week, Friday, much better results than the previous Thursday for your West Bloomfield Lakers varsity football team as they head out of the OAA Red and took a short distance over to Birmingham to take on the Seaholm Maples of the OAA Blue. We had a chance last week to preview that game with Evan Stockton, who had the call from the Prep Sports, and ultimately a great game for the Lake Shore, defeating the Maples 34-3 in that tough environment as they look toward their final week of the regular season on the road at Roseville on Friday. Here for more analysis on the Lakers' big Week 8 victory is our color commentator for our coverage of Laker football, Matt Catoni. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yep, thank you for having me.
Glad to have you to talk about this, and it's always happy to talk about a game after a victory, especially a resounding victory like this, 34-3 against a team that had some familiarity to West Bloomfield, having gone up earlier this season against a very similar offense in Rochester Adams, running that old classic veer running system. And, well, West Bloomfield this time around, much easier going than they had a few weeks back in Rochester.
Yeah, and what really stands out to me about this win is, it's against one of the top Division II opponents in all of Michigan and, on the road. Beating a good opponent on the road is hard to do, and especially, the Lakers have struggled on the road this year. And getting a win like this before playing a team like Roseville this week on the road is huge, and hopefully they're able to rattle off another win and keep that momentum going into the playoffs, where very good chance they'll be playing on the road.
Yeah, it's almost guaranteed at this point that West Bloomfield's going to be playing on the road. There's a lot of scenarios that have to play out to even give the Lakers a chance at a playoff home game, and that's all the more reason why Coach Hilbers and the staff wanted to make these last 2 weeks a point of emphasis to get things right, to get into the right rhythm, to be making the right decisions. And we really started to see that from the Lakers on Friday when they were out in Birmingham playing Seaholm in a tough environment, a passionate environment on their homecoming night. And Matt, what was really impressive from the Lakers, their physicality on the defensive side of the ball, because part of that veer offense for Seaholm is getting in the trenches and going up toe-to-toe with some of the toughest players in the state of Michigan. West Bloomfield showing their size and their might in the interior on Friday.
Yeah, that's one thing that has stood out with the Lakers sometimes this year. There's been times, against Birmingham Groves, Rochester Adams, two of the best offensive lines you're going to see across the state where they kind of got pushed around a little bit. But there's also been times where, like this past Friday, where they go out and they establish themselves as a physical team. And that is going to be huge going forward. And especially this next week, if they're able to rattle off back-to-back weeks, and it's not just, what we've seen them before. They lose 1 week and then they come back and play much more physical and emotional.
The Lakers coming into this week 4-4 overall. They're going to be going out to Roseville, another Division II powerhouse who's 6-2 overall. They just came off of a big physical tough battle, a 21-19 victory at home last week against Romeo. And they have some momentum and a third consecutive home game. So this is no easy task for the Lakers, who have kind of been feast or famine throughout the season. They come off of a big win. It seems like sometimes they take a step back, or another team's just really taking a step forward and punches them in the mouth. What are you looking for from the Lakers this week as they try to answer a very impressive road victory against Seaholm and try to finish off the season strong with momentum for the playoffs at Roseville?
Yeah, that's one thing that you said. I just got to pick up on that really quick, that a lot of the Lakers struggles this year they've been playing these teams that are taking that step up where they're trying to avoid taking that step back. And it's kind of like Rocky, they got to get that eye of the tiger back. And this week is going to be huge. They're playing another team that historically Roseville hasn't really done that much, and they're on the ascent as a program. And if the Lakers can get a win this week, it can really, send another message across the state of Michigan. Like, yeah, we're having an off year, but you're still not us. So this week, what I really want to see them do in another tough road environment is just protect the football, get Josh Tate going a little bit, and, try and limit those big passing plays that Roseville's offense is going to look for.
And it's no secret, the Lakers are on a collision course for some of the Division I powerhouses early on and all throughout the playoffs. Right now, a couple different scenarios have them maybe in a district that includes Belleville down the line in a potential regional matchup. Right now, those early postseason matchups have them looking at maybe a Novi Detroit Catholic Central or a Novi High School, both teams with very few losses on the season, who are some of the top-ranked teams in the state and are performing at the highest level we've seen from those programs in a number of years. And that's why you really look at your veteran players and hope that they're playing their best football right now. And for the Lakers, no better example of that being the case than their quarterback, Bo Jackson, who had a fantastic week once again at Seaholm, 10 for 13, 173 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He has been the MVP these last few weeks.
Yeah, and really, since we've seen the Lakers commit to him more as a starter, we've seen them, really pay dividends for them. Like we've seen in the comments, and we've said it ourselves that maybe the offense would benefit from just committing to him or Shakespeare, but just making that decision at the end of the day. And that has certainly been the case once they've committed to Bo Jackson. Once he's gotten some chemistry, gotten used to being back there more and throwing the passes to the talented receivers he has with Elijah Durham and Flowers, it has just been incredible to see the growth and steps that he's taken forward these past few weeks.
Elijah Durham catching 2 of those 3 touchdowns from Bo Jackson, that senior-to-senior connection. And for Elijah Durham, it's been 2 consecutive weeks where he's had multiple touchdown games. He had 3 multi-touchdown games all throughout last season, 2 in the regular season and 1 in the playoffs on the road at Ike. And it seems like that connection's really coming into play. But Matt, you mentioned Josh Tate earlier on. Offensively, been a really key player for the Lakers, has struggled in recent weeks to put up those big-time performances after a breakout career game against Lake Orion. But the benefit of that has been it's taken a little bit of the pressure off of those other skill players and given some of those hidden wrinkle players down the depth chart a chance to shine. And that guy last week was Malcolm Gibson.
Yeah, Malcolm Gibson, we saw him get a few carries in just a handful of weeks ago. Just once the game had gotten out of hand, they started to factor him in a little bit, and we said to ourselves during the broadcast, is this a sign that down the stretch, they're going to try and get him some carries and see if he can contribute down the line in a playoff run? It is certainly starting to look like they think that is the case, and that is going to be huge down the line because you don't want to just be pumping the ball to Josh Tate solely. You want to be able to have other guys that you can supplement in the run game, kind of give them a breather on the sideline if need be, or, different look in the run game can always help.
The offense always has the flash, always gets the glitz and the glamour toward them. They put up 34 points last week, Matt. They deserve to have that praise. But that defense only gave up 3 points against a very tough Seaholm team that runs the ball really well and has been extremely impressive in the trenches. That's a huge key for the Lakers going forward, too, because as great as that defensive line was last week, they have struggled against some teams of equal size. But what's kept the Lakers in the game in those sort of matchups has been that secondary, too. Guys like Corey Pittman and Kalik Robinson, Kylo Dickerson, John Edison also having an excellent season, including his performance last week. This defense seems to also be stepping up in these big moments, too. When the offense is firing on every cylinder, it seems like that helps to catapult that defense to a next level that's really impressive.
Yeah, really, some of the times where we've seen the defense struggle especially is, kind of like where they don't necessarily give up, but like the dam breaks, the water overflows eventually because the offense has been struggling and they were sort of just put in bad positions and eventually, it gives way. But when the offense, as you mentioned, is firing on all cylinders and playing well, you see the defense, come alive a bit and start to make these plays, force turnovers, get sacks. And that is going to be huge down the line because, we've seen in past, even though the OAA teams may not necessarily have the best of seasons or what they think, they can always end up making a run. And last year we saw in that state semis game between Southfield A&T and West Bloomfield, those really were the 2 best teams in the state. And as Southfield A&T went to go on and win the state title, just got to make the dance.
Yeah, Coach Helbers told me last week the team he was kind of looking at as being their example actually is one of their biggest rivals. Clarkston last year made it all the way to the state quarterfinals, that classic finish against West Bloomfield. They were in a very similar position, just at or just over 500 going into the playoffs. They got hot at the right time. They started playing their right football at the right time, and they ended up getting quite far in the playoffs, a play or 2 away, as Coach Hilbert said, from maybe themselves playing at Ford Field. West Bloomfield in that position as we head into the regular season finale. Friday night, 7 o'clock kickoff on the road in Roseville. We're in contact with the team over at Roseville High School, and we will keep you informed on our potential coverage on Friday on CivicCenterTV.com/Lakersports. Matt, thank you as always.
Yep. Thank you for having me.